Welcome to Crossing Darkness, a podcast about gaming that normally focuses on the world of darkness. However, today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite video games, EVE Online, a science fiction spaceship MMORPG. In this game, you become an immortal pod pilot who controls some of the most powerful ships in all of the galaxy. Activities include market manipulation, spaceship combat with player versus environment. You can do mining, exploration, empire building, pirating, and much, much more. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout, and today we have a very special guest, Samson, who plays his character Guinevere Kenyon. In this crazy world of EVE Online. He also co-hosts a podcast called Strength in Gaming. How's space treating you these days, Samson?
I gotta say, it's treated me pretty well now, despite my long sordid history in EVE.
So how long have you been playing EVE? Cheers, by the way.
Cheers, Lord. It's hard to say exactly how long, but my character was created 2014. So technically since then it's been like almost 7 years, but and that still, in my opinion, makes me very new compared to some people that have been on your show. I think I see Dame Nation
in chat. Hey Dame.
And so I've been off and on since then with several rage quits and at least one burnout or two. So I would say maybe half of that was, half of that 6 or 7 years is like actual gameplay.
Yeah, I would have to say I really started about 15 years ago, give or take, and I would say that probably only about half of that was time played. Like like I would quit and stop training skills a lot of the times. That was some of my like things that I always kicked myself whenever I stopped training skills. I was like, dang.
What I kick myself for, is when I leave my account on and for like months and forget to train the skills. Like
yes,
I'm still paying for it. Like
I have done that. I have done that, absolutely.
I think it was this year actually, starting last year. Since my last rage quit, I think it was last year, I've literally, when I logged back in and started playing again, which has only been about a month actually, and then I joined the EVE Online Facebook group where this ended up happening, where I met you and so like that was crazy that it's all like happening right at once and just like, but since last year, I don't know when my skills ended. And I was paying for the freaking account, so I was kicking myself for that.
Yep, no, that's definitely something that happens. So what's some of the history that you've had? What's I guess let's start at the beginning. What got you into EVE Online? What was the thing that made you go, I'm gonna play this video game, and then all of a sudden you're 7 years later and here you are?
I fancy myself to be a bit of a hardcore MMO player. I grew up, my first MMO was Everquest, the original Everquest, and I was addicted to that game as a kid, as a teenager, to the point where I'd be yelling at my parents when they disconnected me by picking up the phone or something like that, because my life was on the line, man. Come on, Mom, put the fucking phone down.
I remember back in the day of dial-up. I did I did Ultima Online, which is very similar to EVE Online. But I had a lot of friends that got into EverQuest. It was Evercrack, as they call it.
Evercrack. Technically, I think I did MUDs before Evercrack, but
I did MUDs as well.
Dungeons. Yeah,
I did MUDs as well. Those so I did like World of Darkness MUDs. White Wolf had their own MUD.
I think I tried one of those.
It was like an official one that they had their own GMs. It was a chat room that was moderated and stuff. You could move around into different places. You had to get your characters sanctioned, and then you could move out of the unsanctioned room. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it ever before, and I don't think I'll ever see it again. But that's just really weird.
Yeah, yeah. MUDs and before MUDs was Infocom games, the text-based adventures.
Yeah.
But EverQuest was what I cut my teeth on, I think, officially for like what I would call it an MMO in general. And after that, I think I went to WoW for a long time, and then WoW started to get shitty. But the problem with WoW was that it created this mass of cookie cutter MMOs. There were so many shitty, just garbage MMOs. All of a sudden, everybody wanted to be a WoW clone. Everything was a WoW clone, and none of it was as good as WoW. And so it was like I got burnt out, like majorly burnt out on MMOs, just in general. And I was like, there's nothing that is ever going to be as challenging or as interesting as when I played a hard game like EverQuest. And then I had friends that played EVE in the past and who like don't play it now and didn't play it then, because again, nobody I know personally plays EVE in real life. I mean, I guess, well, yeah. And so I was like, let's try this. I hear it's one of the most challenging MMOs. And
have you ever seen the graph of like the player difficulty? I think it's changed quite a bit. They updated it, but there's like it's like it goes like up and then it gets like this weird like goes back on itself, and then there's like a truck just like like pushing people off of the mountain, and like people hanging from like the weird cliff that has been created. And then I have
not seen that.
Oh my god, look up like EVE. It's like EVE difficulty chart or something like that.
EVE difficulty chart. I'll have to check that out. I don't know, like, and my first experience was great, but I did get bored, right, running missions in high security space. Yeah, and I got bored pretty quickly. I think maybe I got up to like security level 2 or maybe even 3, but 3 was like too hard at the time.
Oh wow, so you dropped out a lot sooner than I did. I like hung out in level 4s for like ever, like tried to get my friends to do them, like, because that's kind of how I was introduced, was my friends doing level 4s and being like, there's like 4 of us needed for this, let's do it.
Oh yeah, so, I never I'm a solo player. Like, I'm a huge solo player. I was doing everything solo, and I do it now. Like I what I normally do now for money or for ISK is high sec security level 4 mission running solo. Well, with an alt, I guess it's multi-boxing, I guess, technically. But I what happened was I got bored, and then I heard the rumblings about low sec and null sec and stuff, and I
had to go figure it out, man.
I had to figure it out. I wanted more PvP in my life. I couldn't. PvP. Let me tell you something about myself. PvP is something that I live for. Making people salty is like the lifeblood of my existence. In real life, like not in real life, but in games, like I get genuine pleasure from making people salty. And also I like teaching people. I like when people, and I like to learn. So I think EVE fills all of that stuff like really well.
And that fits in really well with the kind of EVE system that we have. If you're a salty person that gives tiers, like I've done a lot of high sec ganking. I mean, not a lot, I guess. I say a lot, like just a lot. Just a lot compared to people who don't do it, and a little compared to people who really do it. I've got some hits. But so I've done some high sec ganking, and I love the EVE mail of you ruined everything, you've destroyed the world, you're a loser, I hate you, I hope you like, all these derogatory terms. And I'm just like, oh, thank you. Oh, I love you.
It hasn't happened for me in EVE yet, but it's happened for me in many other games. I've gotten tons of hate mail in all other games, and that's probably the ultimate goal achieved. I did get something. It wasn't a hate mail, but it was like an annoyed mail, because there was an MTU hunter or griefer that was I was high sec running, and I was unfortunately not next to my MTU because I'm sniping in my Navy my Apocalypse Navy issue. I snipe, and then I have my alt with an Arguer Logi as backup. And I was 100 kilometers plus away from my MTU, and this Nurgle shows up on my overview, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, here
All
you
right.
go.
We could deal with this crap. And I was already like, I had just dipped my toe into MTU hunting. I had maybe destroyed a few abandoned MTUs at that point. So I was like, I know what this guy's gonna do. I know exactly what he's doing. He starts attacking my MTU, and he locks me immediately, right? Like he locks me and he blows up my MTU, and then he starts to try to loot stuff. But I'm over 100 kilometers away, so I start sniping him.
Right. Yep.
I'm like, I'm just gonna start sniping you, bro. Like, it was really hard to hit him, obviously, because he's in a freaking like 1 billion isk Triglavian frigate, and I knew if he got near me, I would be dead. It might take a while, but he'd be able to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
So I popped him a few times, and he starts closing. Right, he starts getting in like 80, 70, 60. And when he gets closer, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. So I jumped out, but then I came back, and then I did it again, and I popped him a few more times, and this time I did some serious damage. I saw his armor go down 50%. Like I almost got him into hull, perhaps, and then again he got too close, so I warped off, and we're still in an engagement. So there's this whole cat and mouse thing going on, and then I get an email that what it said is from Shaftmaster Master Shafts, and the subject is okay, and then it says, "Don't shoot me." I was like, so then I messaged him, and I was like, dude, he's like, I was like, dude, what's I know what's going on, and he was like, don't shoot me, I just want the loot. And I was like, okay, can I finish the mission then? He's like, okay. It's like, so we like agreed. He was a goon, by the way, in high sec. And I asked, I was like, goons, what are you doing out here? And he's like, just hanging out.
Just chilling, just fucking with you. See if I can get your tears, but you're making me tear up. So
yeah. He's like, no, stop it. So like, I didn't get to blow him up or nothing, but
it's interesting though. You made that kind of like mini alliance with them right there. They're truce, I guess.
Okay,
it was like
you can have the loot, and I'll just let me finish the mission. And it was annoying too, because and I know what he meant by loot now, because it wasn't until after I realized that I had abandoned my I think it was my hobgoblins. I had accidentally abandoned my hobgoblin 2s, and so he scooped those as part of the loot. Unfortunately, that hurt a little bit. I mean, those are a little pricey, not that bad.
Not that bad, but it's always, it's like, damn it,
damn it.
So did you see the new, like when you warp away now, it tells you that you're warping away and your drones
I saw that.
And I was like, when I first saw that, I was like, oh my God, I might not lose so many drones. I mean, I'm still going to lose drones, but I might not lose as many. Yeah.
And I feel like my drones are like, they're like my little pets. They're like my little dudes or whatever. I feel sad if I lose them,
Right, yeah. That's how rogue drones are made, man. Like rogue drones are made by abandoning drones.
And I take my part in saving drones from becoming rogue drones as an MTU hunter. I do. If I find drones and there's nothing else on a scan, I'll be like, okay, let's go find these drones. And actually, that's funny because I think it was like a couple days ago, I found 2 Navy issue hammerheads, 2 Valkyrie 2s, and then 2 just like Alkalite 1s, but they were just like by themselves. I was like, I'll bring you in, little guy.
Aw, poor
keep you warm,
dudes.
Like some of them were expensive. I was like, oh, these are nice drones. But it just it's fun. It's such an interesting, like, that was an interesting experience with that dude in the Nurgle, because and then I noticed, so as a former intelligence officer, somebody does something that I'm going to know everything about them, because I'm going to look them up. I'm going to look up their Z-kill. I'm going to look up their, I think it's Eve Prism now. There's a bunch of other things. One of my favorite ones is gone. Eve Hunt was my favorite site, and I think it died.
Oh yeah, that was a good
obviously
site.
Dotland. but Eve Hunt was my favorite. And so now I know this guy, and it turns out he's an MTU hunter, and he hunts around my area. And I actually now know, I went down the rabbit hole because I noticed a couple others, like when I see MTUs on the board and I'm out there scanning, or I'm doing and I have my D-scan up, and I see another Nurgle pop up, but it's not the same guy. And then I look and I see someone go suspect in local. I'm like, okay, this guy. And I looked up his name and I was like, yep, he's an MTU hunter. So like I know all of the local MTU hunters in my area because.
So tell us a little bit about your Intel days. So you started off in high sec and you went out to 0.0. So it sounds like you got involved in, is that when you got into Intel, or did you hang out in 0.0 for a while before?
No, I went straight into Intel. So what happened was, I was bored and stuff, and someone, sorry when Chaos, she found me. She was recruiting, and she was recruiting for Red Horse expeditions in the Space Monkey Alliance. And I was like, that sounds cool. And I was like, I don't know though, because like I have stuff here and it's expensive and I don't want to fly out there and die. And she was like, no, just you come out here in a cheap, travel frig or whatever you can muster, and we provide everything after that. I was like, oh, okay. Because if you're flying military ops and shit like that, they provide, the frigs and the fits and all that stuff. The Space Monkey Alliance did. But it was interesting because I was not at all prepared for what was going to happen when I agreed to join the Corp. I was like, yeah, sure. And she goes, okay, when do you have time for a conference call? And I was like, what?
Wait a minute, is this an interview?
What are you talking about? And then she's like, I was like, I think I was working from home that day, or was off or something. I think maybe even worse, I might have been unemployed at the time, which meant I had no, I wasn't unemployed. I was just working from home, and and literally I get on a conference call with this. She was this. Good Lord, my brain's not working. The chief intelligence officer of that of Red Horse, and she interviewed me like it was a legitimate interview. I was
like fucked up like that, like the API checking through all of your history, who you've talked to, who you've had
and
any
not
interaction
just that,
with.
but like it was an assessment too, and she felt that I was going to be a fit for intelligence. A good fit for intelligence. And I said, okay, that sounds awesome. Sure, I'll do that.
I'm not gonna let you in my corporation. I'm gonna hire you to become an intelligence officer.
Yes,
only in fucking EVE Online, man. Like,
so I was the director. I believe I was the director of intelligence, and under the chief intelligence officer. And again, no idea. Had no idea what that meant at first. But when I found it was actually really interesting. But I gotta say, 80 to 90% of what I did wasn't even in game. Like,
right? Yeah,
I was not even in the game. Like, sure, I did do some recon, but
it's about the game though. But it's not physically in the game. It's all searching Zkill and
Zkill. So my go-to is Zkill, Dotland, Reddit. Eve Hunt was my favorite one. RIP Eve Hunt. I can't find it anymore. Maybe somebody in chat knows where it's at. And now I think Eve Prism is okay. I don't like it nearly as much. But basically my day consisted of, when I got bored at work, I'd get a message, a messenger message on Facebook from my intelligence officer, and she'd be like, hey, do you have time to run some intel? And I said, yeah, sure. And she's like, okay, I need you to tell me everything about this person. I need you to tell me everything about what's going on in this system, et cetera, et cetera. And I was very thorough. I would go to all these sites, gather everything, write up the reports, and literally a Word document, like possibly 2 pages long for each one of these, I would send these back to her, and she would enter all this shit into a crazy Excel spreadsheet I couldn't even imagine. Like, she was an Excel master. And so I didn't fathom that part. I do not like processing data as much as gathering it, or creating the means to gather it. That's, to me, was what was fun. speaking of which, my day job as a web developer came in handy because I found out that Zkill has an API. So
Yep.
I was like, oh, that's interesting. At the time, I was learning Angular JavaScript framework, and so I built an intelligence application that aggregated the things that I needed the most to help me locate these people on all these other websites and stuff. And it interfaced directly with the Zkill kill board. I named it Oniwaban because that's the Japanese intelligence agency. Like, people think of ninjas, they think of, the guys that are dressed up with shurikens and swords and stuff. No, they're intelligence officers. Ninjas were intelligence officers. They were that's what they were. And so I named it Oniwaban, and I used that actually as a sample. I used it to learn Angular, and I used it as a sample, of code.
That's awesome. But
it was crazy, like, to think that I did that, and yeah, I mean, intelligence. It's interesting. I liked it.
I can't believe how many people that play EVE Online are all into tech. Like work in some kind of field of tech. Like that's one of the things that I did find was really kind of interesting. We were talking about a little bit before the show, but in Madison, a lot of different tech jobs that I've been involved in now, almost everybody's heard of or plays EVE Online. But it sounds like you had a little bit of a different experience in that.
Well, I mean, I'm a front-end web developer, so I think maybe more back-end people might be more inclined to play EVE, or full-stack developers. And I know that project managers, that they're usually barely technical. Like they're like sometimes they have some experience or they're good at knowing what's going on. But when it comes to EVE, I've not without, I've tried to get friends to play it, and none of them ever have, for many different reasons. But a lot of them would love to hear the stories about intelligence and PvP and all that kind of stuff. And I love telling stories. That's that's why I have my own podcast, Strength in Gaming. I mean, like and EVE creates stories, not the game, not the NPCs, not the things that are written, but the people that populate it create stories.
Yep.
And it's
and
crazy.
The background story is epic too. Like not just like out of almost all the other games. Like I mean, Warcraft has some pretty epic fucking background story. Put that down.
And there are still stories of people like meeting and making amazing friends in all MMOs. But in EVE, it's I don't know. It's
on the next level. I mean, for a game that doesn't need to have a big deep background story, it does have a deep background story. And for a game that all that the focus of the game is what other players are doing. I mean, barely, the Trig invasion has been kind of interesting. They do some stuff here
I did mess around with
there.
pixels.
But really it's the player stories. I go to in every day, check out what's going on, see what's happening. I love reading the news of EVE. I listen to Notorious News every day just to hear what's happening in one solar system. Like there's so much action every single day. There's people dying, people like anomalies happening, people selling weird things on the market.
I've always aspired. So one of the things that got me into Null was I always aspired to want to be part of the big wars, the big things that were going on. And so in addition to running intelligence in the space, oh, kitty cat, my co-pilot is sleeping in the next room with my wife because he's cold. But we have 4 cats.
We've got 2. Not to throw you off base, but this is Layla wanted to say hi, and now she wants to dig in.
Hi, Layla.
Layla Orgama, Princess Leia. She is she's a little princess, and then we have Janeway, Captain Catherine Janeway, of the two different universes colliding, and somehow they love each other. So
none of my cats have such nerdy names, unfortunately. It's just Monkey, Nermal. Well, Nermal's kind of Nermal, Zoe, and Shirley. And they're all rescues, but Shirley was like a foster that ended up staying with us. But
so sorry to get you off base here.
No, it's perfectly 100% relevant. I've noticed that a lot of EVE players are cat people, and they're also dog people too. But like, I mean, I'm an animal person. I don't consider myself a cat person. Other people might consider me a cat person, but
I own cats,
So
but I do love dogs, and I
yeah,
I'm
no,
trying to convince my
absolutely.
wife
We
to
just don't
allow
have
us
any.
to get a dog because
Yeah,
it's a lot of
we
work
don't
for a
have any
puppy.
dogs yet. It is, and right now though, fortunately or unfortunately, is really the time because like
Hmm.
we're all like my wife and I are stuck working from home, stuck. It's a dream come true. I can't lie. And so it would be a good time for a dog, but still we have so many other responsibilities and things and priorities. But um, so in Null, running intelligence was awesome and it was a great experience. But I still, even at that time, I still had no idea what most of the data meant. I knew understood some of it
Hmm.
from personal experience. Like when you're out ratting in your frig or expensive cruiser or destroyer or something, and a MOA shows up on the D scan, uh, everybody says hide, like apparently, and I was like, I have no idea what that means, but okay, I'll dock up. So like, and I learned a few things there, but I think one of the things that coming to my first, I don't know, call it rage quit or like a burnout. I I volunteered for some military ops. Because I was tired of just doing the spreadsheets. I was like, I'm ready, put me in, like, and I was not fucking ready at all. I went into I did a couple of fleets, a couple of military operations. Well, one of them was technically a black op. I was in a stealth bomber, and it was failed. I don't think due to me in particular, but it didn't. It was a lot of waiting and nothing really happened. Sitting around on my stealth bomber waiting for something to happen, I think. And then I think at one point we engaged, we bombed no, you know what? I think we did. We bombed a bunch of drakes or something, guarding something in this was for sovereignty, I think, or something. I don't know. I still don't know how all that stuff works, to be honest. And so I was like, that was kind of cool. It was exciting. But then I ran another op it was the Space Monkeys main ship at the time, or the main frig at the time, was the Firetail.
Okay. Yep.
And so I was in a fleet of Firetails with their specific Fireball fit, which I thought was a fun name. But
It is a great name.
yeah, so it's like everybody's the fire. So they had multiple fits, and I couldn't tell you what even if I could, I don't remember. But the Fireball fit was like a DPS type deal, and we went out, and for hours we're flying around, and I think we finally got into like this big. It probably wasn't big by anybody else's means, but there were so many ships on the overview. I had no idea what was going on, and I saw one that wasn't one of ours and locked onto it and started shooting. And I think I got onto like 2 kill mails, one for a Punisher and one for a Caracal or whatever it's called, and that was cool. But that again it took a lot of time. And then I think there was a third time where I was running point in an interceptor, which was definitely stressful.
Doing the actual scouting.
Okay,
And
you fly out first. Okay, you jump through first and tell us what's on the other side. But what ended up happening during one of those, it might have been that one, I think, it went on for a very long time, and it went past my like, it was dinner time like 2 hours ago, and like I was my wife and I, I usually prepare dinner, or we prepare dinner together at the time or whatever, and so like we're both cranky and irritated now and pissed, and I just kept like, give me 5 more minutes, give me 10 more minutes, give me another hour.
no.
Like, and so I was just like, you know what, I can't do this. This is not, it's not something that I can do.
Yep.
And I just came to that realization. This was probably the first time that I quit playing Eve. And it was a lot of drama too, because I was really good friends with the intelligence officer. I was really good friends with a couple other people in the corp. And so it was weird to say, yeah, I can't. I don't know if I officially quit Eve, but I did leave Null and went back to high sec because I just couldn't do the commitment that was required to stay, not just to stay in Null, because I wasn't just staying in Null. I had freaking responsibilities that I didn't realize I was going to end up having. I liked them at first, but
it becomes like a second job. It becomes like it becomes real.
Yes.
Like it's not a video game anymore to a certain degree.
It isn't like it isn't a video game. Like I mean the and the intelligence officer got married, and I fucking sent them stuff for their honey fund or whatever. Like it was crazy. I was so like friends with these people. Like even though I never met them in real life, and they're really cool people. And it's good too though, because that what I learned out there, the intelligence side of things, to a lesser degree, if you want to survive or make a decent living in Eve, even in high sec, you kind of need to know what's going on. Like I know what's going on in the systems that I frequent. I know the names of people that I, not necessarily avoid, but know like, okay, if this person pops up in local, I should probably pick up my MTU.
Yep. Yeah, knowing having a situational awareness around you that is key in Eve. I mean, it's something that a lot of people don't know, like the D-scan. D-scan outside of low sec is, and 0.0 like running around, checking people, and I think 0.0 is getting more into it with the scanning of ratting sites and stuff like that. When you're in a carrier, you want to make sure nobody's in that because it takes a while to get there. But low sec is just, that's your lifeblood. That tells you everything. That's what lets me know what's coming in. When I see one frigate land on outside my plex, I'm like, all right, come on in, buddy. And then 3 of his buddies show up. I say, well, I'm sorry, I guess no PvP for you today. Like, that's just the way that it is. I'm just gonna point away from you, and as soon as I see you guys land, I'm leaving. Like, or I make you chase me, like you said, just to piss you off, so that you could get. I almost got him.
Said to send you an Eve mail. Stop running. No, why are you running?
Although I do love the Thrasher for that kind of shit, because like you said, with the sniping kind of aspect, the Thrasher isn't quite a sniper, I wouldn't say. You can do some sniping with it, but the Cockbag Thrasher that I have is a very it's artillery but short range, and you just burn away, and then when that interceptor comes in and it's like, I'm gonna catch you for my buddies, you're like, yep, you're gonna try. We're gonna play a game of chicken with my bullet right now. Swerve out of the way, and if not, it's gonna be bad for you.
See, I'm still learning that part of PvP, like the intricacies of it. I most recently my most interesting and fun PvP experience on a very, 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 very low level of PvP. I think only a few million ISK were involved, but I went out to a low sec system, because there's like 3 or 4 low sec systems that are pretty close to where I frequent, and so I'll occasionally roam solo out there. And before, I was just like flying around in something like my like a Punisher or whatever, and I had a couple of encounters. Managed to take out a coercer with my Punisher, because I jumped in and there were 2 coercers, and I was like, you know what, Scott, I'm already here, I might die, whatever, but the one coercer was damaged, and I tackled it, and I just started blasting the shit out of it, and his friend warps off, and I was like, all right,
you
could die. He didn't even target me or start shooting me until like he was almost dead, like, because it was busy doing something else. And then I warped off, and then I came back with 2 with my alt and a Punisher, and I tried to do something like to that effect again, but this time I learned a lesson. One, it's a hell of a lot harder to control 2 ships in PvP than if you're doing like just your mission running. It's way easier to just have my alt, throwing reps at me, while I'm doing a mission, and so it didn't work out too well this time. And first of all, I made the big mistake, because I went in there, I was looking for noobs, and the thing that showed up on D-scan was not a noob, but it was a frigate, and I had 2 Punishers, which is shitty T1 frigates, and
also known as major bait, by the way. Like,
yes, I haven't used them for bait, but I know the bait, but in this case I got baited. Not so much. I didn't really know like the ramifications, because I'm still learning all the I know a lot more of the ships now, especially Amar. I know all the Amar ships because I fly Amar mostly. But I saw a wolf on D-scan, and I said, no, I'm not going to mess with it. And then it disappeared from D-scan, and then it came back, and then it disappeared again. And I was like, you know what? And I wasn't even scanning anything down at that point. I was just jumping around to like asteroid belts, because I knew that's usually where they were. And then I ended up finding him in an asteroid belt, and then I flew in to tackle him, and I knew I had fucked up. Before I even got halfway there, I was already like, my shields were gone. I was like, wait, what's going on? and he literally took out both of my Punishers with that wolf, and I don't even think I got his shields down. And I was like, oh. I just typed GF in chat, and he was like GF, and I was like, okay, yeah, don't fuck around with T2 frigates, even if you have 2 shitty low DPS Punishers.
T2 is nasty.
Yeah,
I mean, especially with the damage assault damage control unit now, and they've nerfed it, I believe, just recently, nerfed it, but it's still like really good resistance, not nearly as invulnerable as it was before, but it's very good defense to hold off and allow you to to live for a lot longer in a frigate.
I got wrecked.
And then and you didn't probably even get to that point where that even mattered, because he just took advantage.
It didn't matter.
So if you're interested, I could give you some tips real quick on some interesting ways to learn some things about PvP. I don't know what you're doing right now, but some of the interesting things that I found that if you want to learn, just some real quick dirty tips for you. The way that I kind of learned PvP, and the way that I encourage a lot of other people to, if you're going for solo, you're not looking for the gang action type
I'm definitely
stuff.
looking at solo.
All different types of stuff out there. But if you're looking to learn solo and you want to have a lot of fun, step 1, make an alt, or take your main character if it's available to do this, and jump into faction warfare. Now, faction warfare is horrible for a lot of different other stuff. But I'll explain why this kind of works out, and why I say alt at first. It's just just a brand new, not even Omega level, just Alpha. You don't even have to sub the thing. You get it into faction warfare after the tutorial, or I think you can even skip the tutorial, go right into faction warfare. And you go to a plex, a novice plex in a frigate, and you're training your skills as you're doing this, and you just sit in that defensive or offensive plex. You can probably do an offensive plex right off the bat if you can't take the rad in there, which shouldn't be really much of an issue, even for a brand new day 1 alt. And you can just sit there and wait on that button, and you build your ship the way however you want to build your ship. If you're kitey, start kiting and getting prepared for somebody to come in. If you're on the button and you want to like punch somebody in the face and you want to have that close-up brawl, then you just sit there and you wait on the warp-in point, because you can set yourself up in faction warfare in these plexes to be, you are the one setting the whole setup here. You're designing the trap. Yep, if you're designing the trap and you're actually looking to do what you're looking for a fight. A lot of people in faction warfare are just looking for the ISK. Now there's 2 benefits to this. Is one, you get some fights and you're gonna die a lot. I suggest Tama, just because it's got a lot of people, you're gonna die. And that's why I also suggest an alt and just go with cheap ass regular frigates. But you're going to get fights, and you're going to start learning all the different stuff. You're going to get a feeling for D-scan. You're going to get a feeling for what ship does what. And after, 200 deaths, you probably have a few wins in there. And it gets you first of all, it gets you desensitized to death. It's not that expensive if you're throwing out frigates. and you make a lot of money, to be honest. In faction warfare,
Yeah.
you can probably make more than a lot of people in carriers in 0.0 if you really want, or you can get a lot of good fights and still replace all of your losses and make a shit ton of money, more than what you'd probably make level 4 mission run.
Yeah, you know, I almost joined up to faction warfare, but I think it was one of the things was you had to like leave your corp and stuff first, and then the other thing was that when I looked at like a tutorial, it said like, you know, if you go to a system where your side is winning, and I was like, I don't want to go too far because like where I'm at right now, it's like my side, like Amar is like it's garbage. Like I think it was Minotaur was taking like over everything, and I was like, but making an alt, cheap alt might be a good idea, or using my other alt to try something like that. But speaking of desensitizing to death, I've rage quit Eve multiple times, not the least of which cheers was I think the one that got me last, or was probably one of my worst, was I had first tried wormhole space for the very first time. I think I went in once or twice, and I was flying a Confessor, scanned it down, went inside, found a sleeper site, killed some of the like sleeper frigs, made a ton of money after I brought it out and bought it, and then went back in again. And the second time, I got wrecked. Dropped on me. They just popped in. I got tackled. There were like 3 or 4 of them, all in like T3 destroyers, maybe one tackle like frigate, and just blew me up. And my magpie was in my hull.
Oh no.
I was like, I never again bought a magpie, and I don't think I ever will, because like I don't see the point in using it anymore. Like I just use a shitty, especially doing MTU hunting. I just use a shitty, you know, the 7 mil MTU on my missions, because it works well enough, and I don't have to worry about, you know, that happening.
Yep.
But I think I rage quit after that. But then when I came back this time though, MTU hunting, I started following this. It's a blog called the MTU Hunter, I think, and it's so ridiculous. Like this whole like story like that this person's created, and it's great. And I'm like, that's cool. And I tried it out, and I was like, that's a lot of fun. I can blow up these abandoned things, and it technically counts as PvP, even though there's nothing really going on like PvP wise. But your heart's still pounding, because you're like, are they going to show up? Is it really abandoned? Is this a trap? Right. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then I think most recently I managed to scan down a pack rat and pop that sucker. It was completely abandoned, and I was like, woo, that was cool. Not a whole lot in it. Like there wasn't a whole lot in most of the abandoned ones, but and then I did do 2 MTUs in somebody's face. One, and I was in my Confessor, a new Confessor, the newest Confessor, and I warped in. It was I scanned down, and I was like, usually if there's a ship there, I won't, you know, even bother going in. Sometimes I do, just to see what's up. But this time I went in, and there was a regular apocalypse, and he was right on the MTU, so I was right next to him. So I was like, fuck it. And I locked both of them, and I started blowing up the MTU, just circling it. And he didn't do anything except like grab the loot and run. Yep. And then when he came back, I blew up the MTU in his face, and that was it. And then there was another one. There was I think it was an AFK coercer was sitting on his MTU with just like rat wrecks all around. And I was like, is this guy here? And so I did it again, and nothing, like no reaction at all. He just sat there, and I was like, oh, okay. I even bumped him and orbited him a couple of times. I was like, are you there? But it didn't do nothing. AFK. So I was sad. But I did most recently go out again to one of my other like low security space areas, and I like doing what's called a noob patrol, and I saw a noob in local. It could have been an alt, but I mean, it was close as you can get to it being a noob. You know, you see that they've only been there for maybe a month, and they're still in a starter corporation. And this dude was out there in this low security space ratting in a coercer. So I was like, okay, let's do this. I don't think I've ever scanned down a ship before. Let's see if I can scan down the ship, because there were no MTUs on D-scan or anything like that, and it was harder to get the signature. And then finally, when I scanned him down, and I had him, he kept like docking. I think he was fighting stuff that was a little hard for him maybe, and he kept docking. So I was like, damn it, he's gone. Okay. And then finally I warp in right on top of him, and he's in an asteroid belt, and he's pretty damaged. I shot him a few times, but I fucked up, and I guess I didn't click my disruptor, or it didn't take. You know how sometimes if you hit a lag spike and you press something, nothing happens.
Yep.
He warped away, and I was like, damn it. Oh well, too bad. And then I waited a little bit. I went back to my safe spot and I waited a little bit, and then I saw him pop back up on D-scan, and I was like, oh, so he's not scared. He's not as scared as I thought. So I flew back, and this time he's still fighting this one rat. There was like a cruiser rat that was left over, and it was pretty damaged. And then he just warps off immediately. I was like, oh, God damn it. It's like, you know what? Fuck you, buddy. And I blew up his rat. And then instead of, I was like, okay, there's no point in scanning this guy down again. I think he's going to come back here to kill this rat. I know he's going to come back here to kill this rat. So I warped to the asteroid belt right next to that one. And then when he popped back up on D-scan, I immediately warped back in. And this time he wasn't right next to me, but I locked him. He was like 20, 30 kilometers off, but my confessor is a beam fit, and I carry Aurora and Gleam with me. So I pop on Aurora and just start sniping him, and he starts taking some damage. And then I see the blue engagement thing pop up, and I was like, yes! He took the bait.
We got him.
He's flying in, and I forgot to mention my confessor's name is Coercer.
So
just because
confusion, maybe
it might confuse somebody. It's gonna confuse a noob, and it might make a veteran laugh. And so we flying in, and then we get right in there, and I start orbiting, and we're in close in the brawl, and I switch to Gleam, and he's tackled and webbed, and all of a sudden he realized he's doing damage. I was like, what? How is he doing damage? I was in sharpshooter mode because I wanted to do damage. But then I turned my repper on. I didn't even need to switch my modes or anything. Turned my repper on, and it was tanking perfectly fine. And then he just gets completely destroyed. And then I got his pod after that, scooped his corpse and his loot. I warped back to my safe point, and then I sent him a GF. I sent a GF in local first. Nothing happened, and then I sent a GF to him directly, and he replied back. He said like hi in Russian. I had to translate it. So it's like
good old Google translator.
As I was like, you know what, and that's all he did. That's all he said. And I was like, I felt a little bit bad, not like super bad, but like also I still don't know like if I pissed people off or not. And so I was like, that ship you flying was worth like 3 million, so I just sent him 3 million. So like, maybe he learned his lesson. Don't come back out here like that without paying attention to D-scan or something. But that was a really it was just it was great. Like it felt really good. And now he's in my corpse collection.
Corpse
which is very small.
Dave is a famous corpse collector as well, so
yeah. Yeah, Scoop's Core ++1, exactly.
It's interesting. I almost had the exact same kind of story just happen around a Plex. They wanted to finish out the Plex. I knew they were trying to finish it. I'd warp off, they'd warp in, I'd warp in, they'd warp off, I'd warp in, they'd warp off, and then all of a sudden, just you catch them on that right. You just land at the right time.
Yeah,
and it's like, haha, gotcha.
Time to die. But yeah, it just I don't even like the experiences in Eve they're just so different than any other MMO. And I know I've had good experiences and interesting things happen in other MMOs, but Eve is just a different level.
It is.
It's a different level.
And it is one of those things that I find is you can either talk about it for days with somebody, or they're like, I don't want to hear anything.
Yeah, no, yeah. My wife is sick of my shit. When we're on our daily walks, I go, okay, can I have like 60 seconds to tell you about this MTU that I blew up earlier?
Can I just tell you about this experience? Awesome.
Can I just talk to you about this? Oh, that was another one too that recently happened. I scanned down. I saw 2 MTUs on DScan, and it usually means like, oh, well, maybe one of them is abandoned because I don't really see too many ships on DScan. And I flew in, and I scanned, and all of a sudden I scanned. They're right next to each other on the probe scan. I was like, what? Why are there 2 MTUs right next to each other and no ships? So I flew in, and somebody literally left an MTU like, I don't know if they're really maybe like 0.0 AU or something apart, but they were very close to each other to the point where you still had to warp to them, but they were on the map. They were so close, and I just flew to each one. And blew them up, and left. But some poor guy. It was the same person that left. You know what? Screw him. He's not a poor guy. If you leave your MTUs out in the cold, you deserve what happens.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm doing the world of Eve a favor and getting rid of space junk.
Yeah, no,
and having a little bit of fun in the process. and sometimes they have loot in them, which is nice. They don't. It's rare. It's been rare so far that the abandoned ones, but the ones that I grab in people's faces tend to have loot, and that's fun. Oh man.
So we're coming up a little bit here on almost an hour here, but I kind of wanted to give a little segment here. I know you've got a podcast of your own that you do, Strength in Gaming.
Yes.
I was just wondering if you wanted to give any shout outs or talk about any kind of current projects that you're working on.
Yes, absolutely. So Strength in Gaming, unfortunately, listeners, we don't really talk about Eve because I'm not allowed to talk about Eve. It's not even like Fight Club. It's not that cool, unfortunately. But I'm not allowed to talk about Eve on my show. I'm barely allowed to talk about Eve to my wife. And but Strength in Gaming is all about video games. We drink, we have fun. We have covered Eve news a lot in the past because when something big happens, we talk about it. And you bet I get super excited about it when something big happens in Eve and we cover it. But most recently, we did the Death Nut Challenge. And I don't know if your listeners have heard of like the One Chip Challenge, or have ever watched like Hot Ones or any of those things.
I love Hot Ones. I love
the Hot Ones. One of my favorite. And Death Nut is it is basically you get a package that has 5 levels of different nuts, and it starts with the first one is level 1. It claims to be mild. It's not, and no, it's not mild. It actually has a Carolina Reaper in it. The second one also has Carolina Reaper. I think the third one has 2 Carolina Reapers. And they also have like ghost peppers and other things added in. But the very last nut has X amount of Carolina Reapers, some other bullshit, and 13 million Scoville crystals, capsaicin crystals. Yeah, you're eating pepper spray. It's dumb. Don't do it. Stop. Get some help. But we did it on Strength in Gaming recently, the Death Nut Challenge, and it is one of the most entertaining episodes we've ever done. Extremely painful, extremely stupid. R.I.P. Eddie. It was great. It was a great time, and it was. If you want to see me suffer, and anybody else suffer, and I know you do. You play Eve. You want to see people suffer. Come on. Yeah. So yeah, Strength in Gaming. You can find us at strengthingaming.com, or just Google Strength in Gaming, or our Twitch is Strength in Gaming, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Strength in Gaming, and that's Strength, the in gaming, because I know I say it really fast sometimes and people don't.
Strengthen Gaming.
Yeah, Strengthen. No. It's Strength in Gaming. But yeah, and
yeah. So what's some of the you do like general kind of podcasting on games in general, or is there a
so we cover current game news, and that's why Eve pops up occasionally. And so the first segment's usually game news, and then the second's usually like a topic, like maybe E3 happened or a Nintendo Direct, or we have some opinion that we wanted to talk about a lot. And it is general gaming, even to the point where now we're doing on our Twitch channel, Strength in Gaming, we're doing Dungeons and Dragons, Satan's game. We're doing Dungeons and Dragons online with Lizifer as our GM and our DM, and she's awesome, and it's a lot of fun.
I saw an episode of that. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude, it was great. I like being I specifically chose a very dumb half-orc barbarian for a reason, because I thought it would be a hell of a lot of fun to smash things. But it's we're branching out. We try to do more stuff. Kat, Strength in Kat, she also streams a lot of stuff, mostly RPGs and things like that. But yeah, the main show is general gaming, and we're always looking for guests and topics and stuff. So like, I can't guarantee that we could talk about Eve, but if you're interested in talking about tabletop and other stuff that you do,
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
we would
got
love
our
to have you
actual play, and when Gen Con comes back, we're going to be going back and doing GMing.
That's one of the things
Gen
that
Con.
I've always wanted to go to. I've never been out there. I did actually. I forgot to mention. Oh, sorry. Bits for Kids, Extra Life. I used to volunteer at E3, the E3 booth every year for like 3 years in a row. So working at E3 was really cool for Extra Life.
Yeah, no, I love Extra Life. I've done a little bit of streaming for them. Trying to do some donation. My buddy does. I think we got 2 times a year that we do the 24-hour gameathon.
Oh yeah, we do it once a year. We like doing board games 24 hours with everybody. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a lot of it is board game, and we have like the whole house all decked out with it, and we invite people over and stuff. And
yeah, we had a huge
hopefully
thing.
Next time that we can do that big gathering type of thing, my buddy will let me record and podcast out of that. As well. But yeah, definitely. Hit me up, and I want to have you back on the show, not just about Eve, but about the actual play that you do, because we're here at Crossing Darkness, we're really into not just the world of darkness, but tabletop gaming in general, as well as we're also doing these Eve Online podcasts. So definitely want to have you come back on at some point and talk about your actual play that you guys are doing. Would love to have you on. I meant
to have this nearby, but
oh yeah, Werewolf the Apocalypse.
I think it's second edition.
Yep, where it's actually got the hole in the
cover.
The cover, that is,
That's the first time I story told was Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Fun game. That is a really especially if you want to, you can go really
fuck
deep
shit up
with it, or you can go with the rituals and the whole hierarchy and how things are done and spirits, but then you can also say, I want to kill things. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to go kill things? All right, we're gonna make some werewolves and we're gonna go kill some fucking people.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to be on and talk about that stuff. We used to, my buddies and I used to do White Wolf at Starbucks every Friday, and like on the weekends at Denny's. Like, and I have some interesting stories about. I think it was the Immortal Coil that tried to recruit us at a Denny's once. That was interesting. The Immortal Coil was I don't know if it still is, a Vampire the Masquerade LARP.
Zarni name taken. How's it going? What's up?
Yo, dude, you just missed it, buddy. That's my buddy Prem. He's the #1 fan of Strength in Gaming. But you can watch the VOD. He also used to play Eve. Zarni did.
Yep, and we'll have it up on our podcast, and Twitch will have a VOD of it, and then we'll also have it on YouTube as well. We just throw it all out there. It's all unedited, so I just throw it back up real quick. It's real quick turnover.
I would like to hear Zarni on your show. Zarni, Prem, you should be on the show, because he was an Eve player. Maybe you can convince him to come back. I've been trying to.
Yeah, so yeah, you hear Eve in the back row. We just got done having a huge discussion about Eve, and I want you back on also to talk more about Eve. I think we could
Yeah,
do
wow,
multiple
absolutely. I'll
episodes.
go do some more stuff to have stories about.
You know what you should do is you should come bring an alt and come hang out with me in
Yeah, absolutely.
Animalia and in we do
Da
Nisua, Tama. Tama's just a really well known place of death, and just come and
Nanamelia, I
die.
actually have some junk, I think, in a container there in a station.
Oh yeah. Yeah, come
I
visit
don't
your
know
old
what's in it.
junk and we'll,
I
we'll
know
go
I don't know
kill
what's
some
in
people
it, but
together.
because I used to hang out in God, Fade and what's the other one?
Cloud Ring.
Cloud Ring. But, well,
Um,
yeah, I mean, Space Monkeys was aligned with the goons. I
yep.
mean,
When they were in the
yeah,
Delve North, Fortress Delve.
yes. I don't even know. Like, I have so much shit, and I need to clean up.
Well, now you can do a lot easier with asset safety. You can just asset safety a bunch of shit and get that.
No, I
Done.
haven't. No, wait, no. Nenamalia. I have.
Animalia?
No, it's just a Corvette.
Just the Corvette. Well, come pick up your Corvette. We'll go get it blown up.
Yes. Let's go get my Corvette blown up.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, well, I'm just gonna do a little bit of wrap up here, just to some shout outs for some people that that we definitely enjoy and have had on the show before. Definitely check out streamers like JoeBane, RDB, so it's ADRIBEE88, and then Dame Nation as well. Check those guys out on Twitch. Definitely really cool. Kind of, you get some Eve streaming from JoeBane and Artie as well, or Adri. Sorry, Adri. God, I screw that up all the time. I'm horrible with names. But Dame Nation did a lot of stuff regarding like arts and craft and making cool kind of Eve wearable items, stuff like that. Definitely check that out. Also want to shout out to my fellow podcasters out there, such as Strength and Gaming. Yeah, I can't say. I'm horrible.
It's okay.
Should never have gotten into this business. Twin Cities by Night. They do a lot of actual plays. Midnight Express. They got me into podcasting. Actually, he's a really great guy. Did a bunch of cool stuff on the World of Darkness. Utility Muffin Labs has a lot of cool stuff. A lot of it on the World of Darkness, but also on other gaming in general. World of Dark Ages podcast. The stuff you need to know about Dark Ages for Vampire the Masquerade and all of the other game lines for Dark Ages. Mage the podcast, if you want to learn about all the different mage stuff that goes on in the World of Darkness. And just a big shout out to Notorious News. Check them out on YouTube. Look it up. Notorious, Notoras. Notorious News, man. Super cool, like 5-minute videos every single day of what is dying and happening around Notorious and the Nisua and Tama area. If you enjoyed the show, feel free to give us a follow, a like, whatever. You know, you can find us on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Instagram is just all my cat pics. One day they're going to pay the rent. They're going to pay the rent one day. One day of the rent, probably. And don't forget to tune into our Mage the Ascension Technogate actual play Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time on Twitch at twitch.tv/goldenagestories. And remember that spelled GULDAN, Golden Age Stories. Thank you so much for listening, and you all have a great day.
Peace out, you motherfucking nerds.